Hello guys, this is countdown day 20 to my trip to Vegas. How many of you guys have had a birthday lately? How many of you have had like an experience? One thing I learned about experiences does they either make you stronger, or if as I learned from Disneyland, they make you strong. If you learn, people when they make their experience talk about experiences, they say, "Will it make me stronger or make me weaker?" What I learned from working at Disneyland for several years is that they use those experiences to make your emotions to make you pay money. One thing I learned from Disneyland is, like I told you recently, is when something doesn't work, they will change it. It was amazing to see them change the America the Beautiful. It was of America the Beautiful, and it was like the space, like Mission to Mars. Mission to Mars used to be in the same location as America the Beautiful. And eventually when the crowds started dropping from America the Beautiful, from Mission to Mars, they changed it to American Beautiful. And then when it's eventually American Beautiful started dropping, they changed it to something else. And I just can't remember what it was back then. But I know when I was there, Mission to Mars closed. It was America the Beautiful, and America the Beautiful was closing. Something else is going in. And it's funny because I've recently read in the paper that Disney found out that the Galaxy Edge, which was supposed to boost membership to the park, interest to the park, has only the park attendance is down 3% from what they expected. So they ended up cutting the number of hours for the workers for the event. Eventually they will refigure the event and find out what works. But I just like laugh when people say, "Oh, Disney's having a hard time." What Disney does, what a lot of people don't do, is expand. When I was younger, they only had Disney World, Disneyland, and maybe some other properties. Now they're going to do a cruise. They do cruises. They do movies. They used to only have Disney. Only just used to do regular movies. Now they've expanded all the way to. They bought Fox, but they were not really that big into movies. All they were really focused on when I was younger was just like the family movies. And now they expanded, like if you go out now, like at Latin, all kind of other stuff. They have the Disney cruise, and also Disney also has like the time resort. They have like a timeshare type deal where it's over near Hawaii. They have like a place where their ships stop, or you can just fly over there. So what Disney does, and what many people don't do, is expand their cash flows. And what I'm learning now, I'll be turning 50 tomorrow. How many have a birthday coming up or planning a trip to Vegas? You can join me and we can talk together. One thing I've learned is that the importance of money. I remember when I was younger, I grew up in a Baptist church. And I remember during the Baptist church, I used to help out with the collection. There used to be one offering during summer school, or during Sunday school, one offering before the main offering at church, and then there was a tithes and offering that was happening after the reverend talked and gave his speech to people. That's when you would get 10%, 50% of your income or whatever, and that would be the tithes and the income would be like your biggest money making opportunity on that Sunday. But you could also pick up an extra $100 to $200 extra just from those smaller offerings, and that was to help pay for the church's bill. You had to pay the reverend's salary. You also had to pay the rent. And it depends on if the church is run by an individual or is it run by a partnership. So I didn't really pay attention to it back then because, people be full of the Holy Spirit and falling out and stuff. But at the end of the day, the reverend was asking, "How much money are we making? How much money are you making?" And I just think that's funny because people say, "Oh, money's not important. Money's not, If money wasn't important, I wouldn't have almost run over 2 homeless people yesterday. These guys are they just crossed the street. One just walked right in front of me. One walked right in front of me with an ice cream cone. And I was thinking, see, that's what happens when you don't have money. You do crazy shit. And you don't have money to live, and you just kind of go off the deep end. So that's what the church was trying to teach me. You need multiple cash flows. They were taking inflows of cash 3 days a week. Now that doesn't count. Well, they have their revivals where you could get other churches come in, and then you split some of that money with the other church. So what the church is good at is having multiple flows of cash flow. While people only have one job, the church is like most people have one job. Maybe if you're lucky, some of them have two forms of cash flow. But what you have to learn from the businesses, and I learned from working at Disneyland, and I should have learned from being in the church for so many years helping out, is you need multiple cash flows to survive. So now as I'm turning 50, I know I need to go out and like expand. I have basically 3 forms of cash flow. My current job, I do one job on the side helping out events. I'm getting maybe 2 forms of interest from my interest accounts. So that's 4. So I now need to go out and get one where I'm going to try to test the ClickFunnels to see if I can build a list. Because I've learned the most important thing is like when you have a revival at your church, you need to have people coming in to get fresh money, because eventually people die. As much as I love my grandmother, and she's one of the best person who tithed and offering in all the land, eventually she left the church due to health reasons, and she went to another church, and then eventually she just had to stop going, because she only stopped going to church when she really got ill and went to the convalescent home, and a few months later she passed away. But I used to always be in the church with her. She used to make me clean the toilets. I had to taught me how to clean the floor, taught me all the stuff. Kind of basically running the church is like running a business, and I didn't really think about it till now. It took me until I always turned 50 to say like, hey, you know what? A church is just like a business. You have to clean it, keep it clean. You got to ask the people for the money. Even if they object, you say, I agree, you probably don't have any money for that. In addition to that, is there anything else keeping you from helping out? Why don't you give me a little more? And that's why the reverend sometimes will say, I know you don't want to give it any money now. I know, but I know you guys go out to the liquor store. I know you guys go out to the bars. Give God his share. Give God his share. And I was just as may of following up. I know some of you guys don't want to give any money, but do it anyway. So what lesson I'm learning as I turn 50 is I'm learning the importance of money. Try not to run over homeless people. If you do it at night when nobody can see you, and try not to mess up your car. Otherwise, I would recommend you avoid them. And I want you to work on multiple forms of cash flow. How many forms of cash flow do you have? How many times have you worked a second job in addition to your first job? And like, how many of you have a business where you have one business where you're bringing in cash, and you've said, hey, you know what, let's take on some side projects and see if we can't partner with other businesses to take their overflow traffic. So you don't always have to go out and do your own advertising. You maybe just have to go out to the business where you see they're like I see some businesses with the cars overflowing, just, hey, why don't you give us 20 to 30%? You have the client, you brought the client in. Let us do the work for you and give us 20 to 30% of the money. And that's an additional form of cash flow for you. And you haven't done any sales and marketing. And you say, hey, make us responsible for doing the repairs. But what you also are doing, you're helping this guy out, because the longer a person has to wait for their car, the more upset they're going to get. And what are they going to do? They're going to go to someone else. 20% of customers, I've learned from some studies, are already ready to switch. If not ready to switch, they're ready to switch. Or if something sets them off, they're going to go. If they have some economic crisis, they're going to switch. So you already have the 20 that go to switch, and now you don't want to piss any other people off by making them wait. So as a business, go out and see if you can help some business with their overflow traffic. And I want you to be like Disneyland. Always have multiple forms of income, and just remember, if something doesn't work, get rid of it.